This is Burton C. Bell, and you are listening to Only in One Take Radio.
You are listening to Only in One Take Radio with musician Burton C. Bell, formerly known as Fear Factory, Ascension of the Watchers, amongst many other bands. Hello.
Hey, Mike. How you doing today?
Fantastic, man. So is there any works or any concerts that you would like to promote or anything that we can check out or haven't checked out just yet?
Currently preparing for an Australian tour. It's my first solo tour as a solo artist. We're going to be playing new cuts that from my new songs I've written, like Anti-Joy, Technical Exorcism. Another new song coming out before we get down there is called Savages. I think you'll really like that song. It's a freaking banger, man. And we're getting it uploaded to Spotify, so just making things happen as an independent artist doing a solo work.
And do you feel that the music community is a little bit more subjective, or do you feel they're more objective when it comes to creating new works? Rather, it's within the same type of concept of that genre or the band or even past works?
It really depends on the individual or the media organization that's interested in it. A lot of fans obviously want to hear the kind of music I did with Fear Factory, and a lot of fans want to hear new stuff. The new music I'm writing, I think a lot of Fear Factory fans will enjoy it. It took me a while to come up with the process and the plan that I wanted to navigate through. And, it took me a couple of years, really, but I finally came up with it. My mantra is this: heavy, groovy, dark, and moody. Those 4 words really encapsulate everything I want to do. Plus, it also, Fear Factory have all those elements in it as well as GZR, as well as Ascension of the Watchers, as well as Ministry. As long as it's heavy, I'll do it. As long as it's groovy, it's going to be there. And groovy doesn't have to be slow. Groovy can be fast as well, or up-tempo, I should say. Dark and moody, that's just me in general. When Savages is released, I think people will really turn their heads and like, oh, shit.
With this new works that you have, do you feel that you almost have to forget about Fear Factory as far as the concept of the type of material, incorporating your own works as far as almost reinventing in a way with a little bit pinch of the same element that you're familiar with? Do you feel like you have to just not think about the past works, even though what you contributed is a major key point in your career, that this is something you almost have to restart, but also it's a new chapter at the same time?
There'll always be that element of Fear Factory in what I do, because I was part of Fear Factory from the beginning for 30 years. So no matter what I do, it's going to have that element of what I contributed to Fear Factory is always going to be part of everything I do, if you get my drift. I'm bringing my voice, which is a big element of Fear Factory, to my solo career, obviously. So if it sounds like Fear Factory, it's because I am the vocalist. But musically, it's going to be heavy, but it's not going to be the same. So I'm not trying to create FF 2.0. I'm not trying to be a cover band. I'm trying to move forward. There's still going to be elements that are going to be very recognizable in the new music that I do.
What direction do you plan to go with this new band, or new works, or new creativity with this, like as far as getting out there? Do you feel like you are having to work the ground up with this band like many other bands do, but having not just to create something new and something just as heavy, but also having to get the works out there in comparison to the previous successes that you had before with other works?
Yeah, I got a lot to prove as a solo artist, and the 3 songs I've released as singles thus far, which was Du Hast, Anti-Joy, and Technical Exorcism, have all been different, but the one key element was me being the vocalist. I think moving forward, the sky's wide open for me. I'm not trying to pigeonhole myself or put myself in a box of only creating a certain type of music. Like I said, if it's heavy, groovy, dark, and moody, it encompasses so much. It's a wide swath of type of genres. So I'm just going to move forward. If music catches my ear and I'm relating to it and I'm vibing on it, I'm going to move forward and record it as my own song. So pretty much the sky's wide open. There's really no direction I'm headed. It's just the direction is forward.
And when it comes to as far as like the touring aspect, do you think that today's musicians, it's a lot harder for them, including yourself, to invest or reinvest in creating albums due to the touring, or even sometimes even poor touring because of the sales or whatever the reason might be, in order to kind of keep the money flowing, so to speak?
As a working artist, you have to keep working, and touring is part of that. I'm not part of a label. I don't get any type of advances. I'm trying to make my career happen. I'm also working as like a normal person. Odd jobs here and there just to make ends meet. I'm still making time to make my music happen. As a working artist, you have to tour. That's really the only way that you can have a steady income. Like in the old days, you would have release a record, then you would tour. And that's all about new content. That's all about something new that promoters can help sell. So the fact that I've just been releasing singles without releasing a record, been taking some time, but it shows that I'm putting out new music. It's showing that I'm moving forward. It shows that I have new music out there that promoters would be interested in. He's like, well, he's got new music, so that's the selling point. So it has to work both ways as an artist and as I'm a promoter as well. I'm trying to promote my own music, but as promoters for concerts, they need something to sell as well, and new music's a big factor in that.
Do you feel that with this new works, this new upcomings of these works, that it's almost stepping into a new character for yourself, even though you stated what type of genre, what type of music that you're continuing with this, but do you feel like it's kind of like something that has changed, or at least a breath of fresh air of something new to you as what you've been used to over the course of the years of your career with other works?
Yeah, man, it's been a breath of fresh air for sure. I'm literally able to pick and choose the songs I want to do because I'm vibing with them. They don't all sound the same. It's not the same type of music that I'm constantly having to try and reinvent the wheel of something that's already been done. The freedom I've experienced has been very liberating. The group of guys I've been choosing to work with and the producers I've been choosing to work with have been so excellent and just very positive and very supportive. What I've been experiencing for the past year and a half, almost 2 years, it's been very liberating and very positive, and I'm just going to keep that momentum going.
And how long has it been for you to prep for these new works? Has this been something like, as far as working with new members or even rotating members for these works to get that good click of an element for this band? Do you feel like there's a little bit more different direction of how to direct this, and despite them being cool with it and despite them knowing your credibility, do you feel like this is a little bit more different experience, even though you've been doing this for quite a while?
The band that I have now is a great group of guys, and it took me 2 years to curate this band. I wasn't just like going out auditioning people. I was literally like going out meeting people that I was interested in talking to because they were great musicians, or someone thought I'd be interested in them. So it took me 2 years, and like two of the guys I've known for a long time. Tony, the bass player, I've known since like 1993, and he's been in 3 other bands that I've really been a fan of. Junior, the drummer, I've known him for like 15 years, maybe a little bit longer, and he's a great guy. He's in a band called All Hail the Yeti. He's a great drummer. Henrik, there was a guitar player I was interested in, and that guitar player wasn't able to do it, so he suggested Henrik. So I wanted to go talk to Henrik, and Henrik and I just totally clicked. And that's the thing about these guys. It's like I have to be able to click. Musically, they have to understand where I'm going. They have to be confident. They have to be talented. Plus, they have to be really like just good vibes, good people in general. And the latest iteration to the band is Corey. He's another guitar player, and he's fantastic. For my new path, I decided to have 2 guitar players. I did not want a keyboard player, so because I wanted 2 guitar players to me, because that's something that I've always felt for me was what I always wanted. So here's my opportunity. I got 2 guitar players, bass player and drummer. The guys are great on stage. We gel really good together, and they're all super talented guys. They understand where I want to go. They understand my mantra, and they totally get it. So I think Savages is the first song that we all actually did together. You'll hear the difference between from Anti-Droid to Techno Exorcism, and you'll hear this song and you're like, wow, yeah, me and these guys, we're ready to do it.
Do you feel like, as far as formulating a unique sound for whichever band, whichever type of genre that you may feel like doing, do you feel like sometimes it's better to stay unknown and not really address to the public per se. Let them find it and keep an interesting vibe rather than to publicize it and just stay in the limelight, as they say. Do you feel like that's really more of a bolder approach, or do you feel like it could work either way, like a double-edged sword?
It is a double-edged sword because I already have 30 years experience, and with that 30 years experience comes a legacy that I've done already. So my name is already out there. I've already done that grassroots promotion for the past 30 years. So I already have a leg up on most people who are starting out in the business. But because I'm an independent artist, I'm not signed to a label, is the reason that I'm not really getting that much exposure. I'm going back to grassroots style of going out there myself and just promoting myself. And I guess that's part of the way of just releasing singles one at a time instead of a whole album. It's like I'm keeping my name out there, saying, oh, here it is. Check this out. Oh, check this out. And it's almost like a way of, I took the hip-hop template where they don't release a record. They just release singles one at a time, between, a few months at a time. So that's how I'm promoting myself, putting out new music. And that way people are able to hey, check this out, or they hear it on YouTube, or someone shares it with them. It's been challenging. I am grateful that I do have a great management team that's working towards, we're all working towards the same direction. And, we're just one step at a time. But this is where we're at. As an independent artist, it's still difficult, but it's still challenging. I feel like I'm there. That to me is grassroots as well. It's a weird situation, but hopefully it just gets the momentum builds. Things start moving even faster.
If you decide to go with an independent label or any semi-larger label, what would you consider that you would need to have changes made in comparison to your previous experience with other labels? And do you feel like it might be a little bit more difficult to even attempt to be under any kind of label at this point, because money is always a huge issue, but there's some perks here and there, but at the same time you need to reach a certain level before you get some of these nice little perks. But again, you could easily go back down to level 1 again.
It depends on the label, really. I'm not going out beating doors down for labels. The most attractive thing about a label right now is support. An album budget would be killer, or even tour support would be killer. But until then, we just make it happen on our own. If the right label came around, I would have to see what they offer. But, I think the artists have more power than they realize these days. If I can continue being an independent artist, able to support more fervently what I need to accomplish, then that would be even better. That would be probably the best scenario. If I can, touring this Australia tour would definitely accrue a decent budget where I can continue to keep working on my own independently. That would be the best scenario.
How would you divide up the time, including the money, as far as working independently, creating an album, if you can't really necessarily go to an actual studio? Because obviously that's very expensive, and if you really don't have the kind of time and money to inject that, do you feel like home studios or even friends that have really good equipment is that really the best way, or is that just you just really need to divide up the kind of money and put the time into it when you need to do it?
Without having a budget, we've been able to record pretty decently. And not home studios, we've been actually recording at studios. People who've been with studio owners and engineers who've been very sympathetic and also very supportive, that want to help out because they believe in it as well. We recorded Savages in 2 different studios. We did the drums in one studio, we did the guitars in another studio, and did the vocals in Hendrick's studio, and they all sound great. So not like we're recording in home studios. All the songs I've released and releasing have been recorded in studios. You just got to be creative. You just have to make things happen, and you just got to meet the right people who support your cause.
Do you feel bands today are intentionally using the algorithm of how to get their music out there for the fans that currently like that music, in part even sacrificing their own originality just to be acknowledged? Do you feel like they're just doing because this is the new thing, but they're actually sacrificing their own original work themselves, or at least in part, just to do that?
I already have issues with Spotify in my ignorance and trying to navigate through it. So trying to for an algorithm, you just like you lost me on that. I'm like, what? I don't know anything about algorithms. All I know about is trying to release the best songs possible, so people want to hear it more. I feel if you get looped, or I feel if you get roped into that algorithm, the algorithm society, and trying to do the online streams, it can work out, but at what cost?
Do you feel a lot of bands that have the potential to create something really interesting and hard in that genre? Do you feel like a lot of bands are of today's music, like they're doing it for the fans because they like this particular type of music and they just do it that particular way, not their way specifically?
I won't say that's anything new. I think that's been going on for decades, through the entire history of music. Every generation has experienced that type of artist where it's just like, oh, I'm just doing, I'm going to do the songs that the fans really want to hear. And that's been true throughout the history of music. So now that it's on the medium of online radio or online streaming, I don't think that's really changed it. The only thing that's changed that is the volume that it's coming at you. It's online streaming is just so saturated with the same thing over and over again, and all the music sounds the same, and all the art sounds the same, and all the bands look the same. At some point, you just give up. You're like, oh, it's almost like you wait for that diamond in the rough to just like to appear on its own. It's how I've always felt about music. If it perks my interest, I will seek it out, but I just don't listen to everything just because I'm desperate to hear music. I'm like, I have to enjoy. I have to be into it already.
Do you feel that bands today as well, like, and to a degree, they actually censor themselves a little bit on their own work just for, self-appease to the audience? Like, they have to just take it out and not make something interesting for themselves as far as, creating a brand for them, because that's an ancient technique as well. But at the same time, bands need to have that awesome, unique sound for someone to hear like they've never heard it before, but at the same time, they're censoring themselves, They can't get it out there. Do you feel self-censorship, not by labels, but self-censorship to the public for themselves? Do you think that that's a little bit of an issue of today? Because you hear all kinds of stuff in the tabloids and the internet and all that stuff, and it's only part true, but a lot of times it's some from the artists themselves.
The artists that don't censor themselves are the ones that get noticed. And if you censor yourself, it's only a detriment to your own creative process and your art. Because at that point, you're not creating for yourself, you're creating for mass that you really have no idea what they're going to think. You can censor yourself and someone still will be offended. So either you go all out or you don't. If you're afraid of being canceled, then you're in the wrong business. Go all in or don't go at all. It's those artists and musicians that are completely honest with themselves and release exactly what they want to release that get noticed. Yeah, imagine if Marilyn Manson started a long time ago censoring himself, we would never have Antichrist Superstar, one of the greatest albums of the 90s, really. But he did not censor himself. He went all out and he lived it, and that's how you get noticed. Don't censor yourself. Be honest, be passionate, be true to yourself, be true to your music, be true to your art, because if you censor yourself, you're just doing a disservice to everyone.
Do you feel today's music is more about adapting to change than to change when it comes to the style of that genre itself?
I think you have to adapt to change regardless in the music industry, especially during the advent of online streaming. That's changed everything. So you have to adapt, and it's constantly changing.
And it's always a rapid front in today's genres. There's always mix and match, and some bands out there they know what they love, they put the passion out there for the audience, but in some cases they just kind of play the same thing just to appease not just themselves, but like, hey, just to be here I am type of moment. Do you feel there's too much of that in some of these genres? Like, metal is huge in everybody's hearts, but to a degree, as we progress, you hear a lot of bands sound pretty similar from other bands, and a lot of times are always influenced by other bands, and that to a degree is not a bad thing. But at the same time, you can tell that's what they're incorporating from their own persona from what they heard.
I remember a long time ago, a friend of mine was trying to get me to listen to a band that he was really into. And he goes, oh, they sound a lot like Neurosis. I'm like, oh, because I'm a huge Neurosis fan. So I went and checked out this band, and I listened to the record, then I went to go see him live. I'm like, you know what? I like Neurosis better. Why listen to this band that's trying to sound like Neurosis when I just go and listen to Neurosis. And I think that's how I feel about any band trying to sound like another band. It's like, well, if you're not going to try and be original, we don't need a cover band.
And if you yourself, like, if you were to see a band, let's just say for the sake of this, that if they sound just like your voice, they sound just like Fear Factory itself. I mean, great that they have awesome heaviness, but it sounds very similar. Not really an insult to you per se, but do you feel like a lot of these younger bands that are trying to make it, like, you know, they got the potential, but they need to put some of these old ways and put themselves forward and not, you know, just look at what others have done for the music industry?
It's okay to try and emulate your heroes. If you are completely mimicking them, then you're like I said, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You're not being honest.
Yeah, and there's, again, do you feel like some of the potential is kind of fleeting? Because as we progress in all this technology for music and film and everything else, it continues, but in some degree, do you feel it's helping the music industry, or do you feel it's more like a fabrication of something that, you know, we're kind of going backwards? Like, it's not really helping the artists, it's just there.
Well, you know, like I said, it's been going on for years, so it's going to happen regardless. And, you know, if we don't like it, we don't like it. It's still going to happen. If you're inspired by a band, that's great. And you work towards creating your own music inspired by another band, that's great too. But if you continue to sound like the other band, then you're not really moving forward. You're just trying to be a copycat.
Go ahead and plug in any websites or any dates that you care to give out with your current band, everything about this band that we have yet to check out, anything that you also want to add to that as far as advice.
Like I said, I've been releasing singles over the past almost 2 years now. Du Hast was the first one I released. Du Hast, which was a cover version of Rammstein. I was asked to be part of a Rammstein tribute record, and I did it with Mark Thwaite and Paul Ferguson. Big Paul Ferguson was the drummer of Killing Joke, and I had to sing it in German, and it came out killer. That was like the first single I released. Anti-Droid was the second single I released, and there was a video for that, which you can find on my YouTube channel. And Techno Exorcism was the third single I released, was the song I wrote. I incorporated Norman Westberg from Swans. This is before I got my band together, but I got Norman Westberg from Swans on guitar, and I got Big Paul Ferguson to play drums on it. But during this time, I curated a whole new band, and we're releasing Savages in May we'll be releasing Savages. So look for that. It'll be on my website. Hopefully we can get more interested from terrestrial play, but we'll see. But this is all support for my upcoming Australian tour in June. I'll be in Australia June 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. 4 shows in a row. It's going to be killer, but I'll be playing new songs as well as some classic cuts from my entire career. Fear Factory, Ascension of the Watchers, GZR, and City of Fire. So there's songs that people have never heard live. So it's gonna be great. Burton C. Bell, and my Facebook for all information. You can also follow me on Instagram, which is the Burton C. Bell Official.
And there you have it, everybody. That is Burton C. Bell.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate your time, and I've really been enjoying this one-take interview.